Welcome back to another New World video. I completely forgot. I don't even know how I forgot. I've made a guide video for every single dungeon in this game, and then the latest dungeon they had like 3 months ago, the Empyrean Forge, I never actually uploaded one. I uploaded like a first look video when it was in PTR, and then completely forgot. I had a couple of people basically come into my Twitch chat recently, and they were like, yeah, you know, cheers for the videos, thank you very much, you know, blah blah blah. And they were like, when's the Empyrean Forge video out? And I was like, it's already out. What are you on about? Clicked on my YouTube videos, didn't even upload one. I'm such an idiot. So apologies for that. So we're a little bit late with this video. However, it's a good time actually, because this week, I'll show you on screen in a minute, but this week I managed to actually get a top 5 mutation 10 run for Empyrean Forge. In the same run, we got top 5 speed run and top 5 score run. Now, I'm not going to claim I'm a great player or anything like that. This happened mostly because people were playing Lazarus and not as many people was playing Forge. But still, in the same run, we managed to get 2 top 5s and the capes, which, like I said, I'll show you on screen in a second. So yeah, let's get into this YouTube guide video. I'll do my normal way. We'll show a full run. This is a run where I actually play healer, and I actually play with 4 randomers. That's what's probably even better about this run. 4 randomers. I'm healing. I usually play tank or DPS, like you guys know from previous videos. And yeah, we managed to get like a pretty good run. I think we got only 1 death in the end, an okay time. You know, we were going for a score run. We weren't going for a speed run. We skipped 1 mini boss towards the end, the Blunderbus one, which I'll explain when we go through the guide video. I'll explain the mechanics still, but we basically skip it because we don't need it. You know how mutation scores work. And yeah, like I said, if it wasn't for the guys popping into Twitch, you know, I had forgot all about this video. So yeah, come check me out live on Twitch where we play all this content live. You know, I stream most days during the weekend, on Sundays as well, so just drop me a follow, link down below, and yeah, let's get into this guide video. So over on the EU Barry server, I don't know if anyone else has this issue. I can't see my character, and I've not been able to see my characters for like a month or 2 months now. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I've got 2 characters. I got my main, which is LiamH. Please don't hate me for the name. I never put TTV in my name until now. I do apologize. At some point, if I can get rid of this, I will. But yeah, let's jump into this character, and I'll show the little rewards we got for the Empyrean Forge Mutation 10. Let's have a look over here. If we go to the leaderboard, so this is literally just from this week. So here we go. So Empyrean Forge maximum score, which is nice. That'll give us a nice a nice little cape reward here. And then on the exact same run, you can see the date and time here. Next exact same run, we also managed to get top 5 for the clear time. Like, let's go into the gear in what you should be wearing when you go into the Empyrean Forge. All right, let's show you some gear. So literally day 1 of this dungeon coming out, obviously in the live servers, I decided to get the golden scarabs. Obviously, if you don't know what they are, you can use them at the highest tier of crafting, and it guarantees 2 perks per piece of armor or per weapon. And then if you get really lucky, you get the 3rd perk. So what I decided to roll is obviously human ward on every single piece. And then as this dungeon does especially the final boss, does an absolute ton of fire damage, I've also rolled flame conditioning as well. As you can see there, plus 4% fire damage absorption for 5 seconds after taking some fire damage. And that will stack across all these pieces here. Now, I don't think you need 5 pieces. I was a little bit overcautious when I first sort of built this set. However, what it would mean if you did roll human ward and flame conditioning, the 2 main types of damage you receive from this dungeon, you are basically covered for. Sure, that first little trickle of fire will do quite a bit of damage, but then after that, you will obviously then take a much reduced damage for the next 5 seconds, and then that'll basically keep rolling. And then obviously human ward damage as well, you're going to take a lot less. I would also take some, additional fire damage in there as well, protection. Sorry, not fire damage, flame protection in there as well. Now I've slotted an ice gem. I'll go through the dungeon and tell you why. Basically, there's some mages in there that do a bit of ice damage. They're more frequent than, for example, the 1 mini boss, which does lightning damage. So I don't slot lightning damage for just 1 boss, whereas there are a handful of mages that do the like the ice showers and stuff like that. So basically, yeah, you want to have your human ward in there. Flame condition, in my opinion, is just an absolute given. And when you do mutations, obviously this will be a guide for just the Empyrean Forge, but it's from an M10 run, so you get to see a bit of both. When you do mutations, let's say for example It's a nature week. You can then slot your nature gems, and then what that'll do is give you 3 different sort of forms of protection. It'll give you the fire protection for when there's times when there is still fire in there, like the last boss. It'll give you the nature protection from the actual, you know, mutation itself. You would change those to ice or even to fire as well if you like, or whatever the mutation is, void for example. And then you've also got the human ward resistance in there as well. So yeah, I would definitely try and craft some gear that looks like this. Obviously when I'm tanking as well, you get this full set, which actually drops directly from the final boss in the mutations of Forge. In fact, I think you might even possibly get this from just normal Forge runs as well. Don't quote me on that one. It's been a while since I've had this gear. You can quickly look it up on NewWorld database. For example, if you just search Fire Lords Great Horned Helm, it'll tell you exactly where that drops from, but it does drop from Empyrean Forge. And as you can see, I've got the full set here. It's not a terrible set. I actually really like refreshing on almost all my builds. I like it on my healing builds, and I do like it on my tanking builds. It's quite obvious. You get to use your skills more often. So for example, if you're using Warhammer secondary, something like this, it just means that you get to use all your CCs on the big clumps a lot more often, which is nice. But also it gives you the Vega in there as well, which I think this is really, really good. Obviously, you would be losing the flame condition. This is my DPS set, obviously, on the left here. You would be losing your flame conditioning, but then you would be gaining, like, a reduction in burns. And you will get quite a few burns, especially on the final boss fight, which we'll go through. So this is, like, a nice sort of, like, general tanking set you can get from this final boss. So basically, what I would say is, as a guide, if you've never done Forge before, and you're a tank, I would probably craft some gear that looks like this, obviously probably in heavy, if you're heavy tanking, and then eventually you don't spend too much money on this. Golden scarabs are quite cheap on the market right now, so you can get this whole set for probably, like, you know, 8 or 9k possibly, depending on what mats you've got available from you know, the final tier of mats. So yeah, so basically I just want to show you this kind of gear that you can get from here. Obviously weapon wise, you want to be taking human bane in there. Obviously the only resistance or multiplier resistance that human mobs have is slash damage. They are 15% weak to slash damage, or you do 15% more damage when you're using slash weapons. Obviously your swords, you know, your great swords are going to do really, really good in there, and in general, you know, you can always have your spear mains or whatever. It's just that, you know, when you are using slash hatchets, when you are using slash damage in there, you're going to do a little bit more. The only thing I'll mention right now as well is you might want to prep this as well. The final boss is a little bit different. Okay, the final boss is also 15% weak to slash, but also 30% weak to ice. So obviously you don't want to be rocking an ice gem. Well, you might not even want to be rocking that anyway. I'm just showing this as a representation. But if you want to be adding any kind of ice effects to your damage to try and get, you know, more damage on the final boss, make sure you bring in a weapon, maybe in your storage, ready to slot for the final boss. Again, don't quote me on exactly using this weapon. I'm just using this as a visual representation. Also, healers, another piece of advice I would give you, you will more than likely be playing Lifestaff VG all the way through. In that final boss, your Void Gauntlet basically becomes, you know, pretty much useless unless you change it to like a healing build, whereas I play a DPS build on the Void Gauntlet. So probably bring an Ice Gauntlet to just do a bit of trickles of damage with Pylon and Storm and Shower, sorry, and stuff like that. So make sure you prep that if you're a healer, and if you're obviously a tank, you're pretty much sorted. But DPS players, you may want to change a weapon or two for the final boss. But yeah, let's get into the run, and yeah, let's start talking through some of the mechanics and how it goes. Oh, last thing I'll mention, just for anybody who is literally brand new and never done this, even though the dungeon's been out for 3 months now, you want to head over to Grey Cleave. There's going to be a new, or if it's new if you've not been here before, the Empyrean Shrine, and obviously you have the Empyrean Forge just here, and that's how you can sort of get there for the first time, just in case you've never seen it before over in Grey Cleave. Okay, so apologies a little bit here. This is obviously ripped from my Twitch channel. Like I said, come watch me live if you like. Let me mute this obviously as well. Yeah, this is like recorded from my Twitch channel. This is where we play live. Like I said, so I'm basically a healer here, as you can see on my alt character, and we're with 4 randoms that I've never played with before. This is our second attempt at this. So yeah, here we go. Basically, all I'm going to tell you here now is all DPS players should kill this first ranger. As you can see, I just dropped down a cheeky little Oblivion there, just to help them out with the DPS. Now, tank wants to go first. Now, as a healer, you don't want to drop any heals, because as you can see, all of the aggro will turn around on you if you drop any more than just those initial heals there. And you're going to jump down this spot here. The tank is going to stand at the front. You're going to drop all your heals, and all the mobs are going to gather in all this big space here. A little grav well to help us out. And as you can see, only maybe like one cheeky archer towards my top left there is going to get stuck. Everybody else, you're going to clump in this little space here and fight. And then once we killed them, we move on. And then as we just go around this corner, you got a couple of fire mobs here. This is where your fire protection will come in nicely. Now you can stop them from doing this flame damage on the floor. Simply your tank or any of your DPS who has a warhammer maybe needs to get in there really quickly, instantly CC them, and they will not drop that flame there. You got one of your first gatherables of the dungeon there as well, and our first little respawn shrine here. Now there's 3 mobs here. You have to kill all 3 mobs before you get through this door, before you can open the door. Obviously try and clump him, try and kill that cleric. Now bear in mind some things to tell you now whilst we do this little mini fight. This is the first dungeon I've noticed where New World have gone really ham on giving real life player abilities to the PvE mobs. So the tanks here have all of them. They have, I think they even have Defiant Stance, they have Leap and Strike, they have Shield Bash. It's crazy, right? So archers are the same, mages are the same. They have a lot of the real skills that we have. So just bear that in mind. You know, they have skills, but what that does mean is once you start reading them, you should be able to start dodging them. Now, once we open this door, the generic plan is to try and pull this man here. You might see me miss one. Oh no, we hit the first time. So you're going to pull 1 or 2 mobs and run all the way to the back of the room. So then all the DPS players and the tank, as you can see there, can start grabbing them. You don't want to pull every single mob in one go unless you think you know, you're in a solid 5-man team. Like I said, I'm playing with some randomers here. So we don't want to pull everything and then it'd be a bit tough. If you're all sat in Discord, you're playing with a solid group, you can pull most of the mobs in here and just sort of stack them up and kill them here. Be careful with this big elite. Again, he's a warhammer. As you can see, he's using like Mighty Gavel there, basically. He's got Clear Out. He's got Shockwave. Honestly, it's you know, they don't work the same as in like, you don't get the exact stat effects as what you would, but in generic, you know, they give them the skills. So once we pulled a couple of these mobs, we're gonna head out. We're gonna go into this first main room here. We're just gonna pull any little stragglers that are lying around. We didn't want to take them all in one go. We're gonna head over to the right hand side. Now you're gonna see this puzzle. Let me just pause this here just for a second. As you can see the puzzle here, now this isn't active just yet, but I want to explain how the puzzle works before we move on in the video, because I don't actually play the puzzle because I'm playing the healer. As you can see here, I'll just show you nice and easy. There are 3 symbols, okay? And you can walk straight up here and you can literally just press your interact button like E or F, whatever you use, and it'll spin this around. And there's different symbols. There's like squares, basically triangles, like something that looks like a letter D, something that looks like a play button. And basically this needs to match what is on the left hand side of this room, okay, which I'll show you in another angle in just a moment. And basically one person will stand on the platform, and whilst they're on the platform, you then just need to press the buttons which matches up with the other side of the room. You can see each other, but you need 2 players, okay? So you need 1 player on this puzzle, 1 player standing on the portal, on the like sort of portal floor, and they stay on the portal floor as well. I'll show you a quick glance as we can. Just over there in the background is the portal floor. Now we activate this in a few minutes once we've done the fight, but I just want to kind of explain this because as I'm healing in this dungeon, you won't really see me play this mechanic, but I think by now the dungeon's been out a couple of months, you probably understand this, but I want to put that information at the start of the video for anybody who's brand new and fresh and hasn't really played this before. So we're basically going to finish off these little mobs and then just head up here. Now, a couple of different ways you can do this. You can grab these 3 mobs and take them right. You do not want to go left, okay? Not yet. That's next. You can grab these mobs as we're doing here. We're playing it nice and easy. We don't want no deaths in this run because it's a score potential run. So you can kill them here, or you can basically drag these to our right where we're going next. Now you got a range here. More than likely, you probably want to burn this mob, or you can again run it around the corner and the mage will follow. What you don't want though is the mage sticking out and then just pinging you. Now these 3 mobs, definitely you want to be taken into this next room. Inside this next room is a bunch of mobs like you're going to see here. You're going to have some skirmishes in there, some hounds, you got some mages in there. Ideally, you want to kill those mages first. That'd be definitely the best strat. Now you've also got this sort of like door portal, whatever you want to call it. I never know what to call these, you know what I mean? Ancient things that you click on. Now probably you want to leave this for the healer, so then all your all your DPS and your tanks can be doing the damage. There we go. Ancient Azov Seal. There we go. We know what they're called now. I just never read what they're called. I just call them portal buttons. I don't know. So yeah, essentially you want to clump all the mobs, kill the mages first. 1 player needs to do this. Ideally, you do not want this to be your DPS because then you've got 1 less player doing damage, which means everything else takes longer. Now you're going to head back over, as you can see here. So it's just to the other side where we said we didn't want to go left before. Now we're heading over there. There's 3 mobs. Another mage there again. I didn't do the greatest of pulls here, so don't really do this. I forgot the mage will not come at us from the range. It's a bad pull from me, but I don't know. Good explanation, a bad pull, I guess. Ideally, you just want to run over to where those mobs are. And basically just kill these 3, and then into the next room is where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, now I just want to show you this here, so I'll just pause it for a second. So all of the other teammates, all the, the tank and the 3 DPS, they're basically waiting where we were just killing those mobs. Now, as you can see just here, we got this main man here and there's little henchman. Okay, now again, not a great pull for me. What I would probably advise to do here is use your Void Gauntlet if you're the healer. And basically you just want to tap the boss, this little mini elite boss here, when he's furthest away as possible from his little henchman, so you don't pull the henchman. Now you can still get away with it, as we do here, as I can show you, but ideally that's the kind of pull you want to do. I tried to grab him just on the edge, and what I've done here is put a beacon so I can run faster, because that guy will just absolutely launch. As you can see, boom, there he is. Now you want to be careful about this guy. He's got a great sword, and then boom, every time he seems to do like a slowdown, or you get rid of all of his stamina. As you can see, he's got stamina damage bar. Every time you get rid of that, he's going to go down for a couple of seconds when you can DPS, and then when he comes back up, he's going to do a huge lightning AoE. Nobody's going to be rocking lightning gems because there's only one mob in this entire dungeon. Maybe if you're trying to min-max it, you might bring 2 or 3 pieces. There you go again, look. Boom. We got rid of his stamina damage, and then he uses the huge AoE lightning attack. This is a bit of a scramble. However, everyone actually lives, strangely enough. I'm just waiting for the DPS to finish off the minis, and then we can focus back on this guy. But essentially, the strat is, as you can see there, you want to CC the crap out of him. You want to get rid of that stamina bar above his head. Obviously, DPS as quickly as you possibly can. But once that stamina bar goes all the way down, and then he sits down for a few seconds, that's when you pull back, or else he does this huge lightning attack, okay? Big AoE. You don't want to go anywhere near that. Okay, now, we're going to go back into this sort of next sort of like tunnel, if you like. There's 2 little groups of mobs. You basically just normal trash mobs. Well, if you include this one guy, I guess you could say it's 3, but we should technically have killed him at the same time. So there's a little group of mobs on top of these stairs, and then just behind those stairs, there's another little group of mobs. Now, down the bottom of that tunnel, again, explaining this now because I don't really go down there. Down the bottom of this tunnel, you want to send just one player, probably maybe a tank or a DPS with some good damage resistance. There's a platinum ore down there which you need to mine, especially if you do mutations. And there's also a platform that you need to stand on, but you only need to stand on it to activate it. Then you can leave it. You do not need to stand on it and stay on there, okay? And that is going to activate the puzzle, which I shown you just a couple of minutes ago in the first room, okay? That means you can then go to that puzzle and start it. So you can see here, me and the tank, we're not going to do the puzzle. We're going to try and sort of speed this up a little bit. Puzzle's now activated down there. One player stands on this one, on my right hand side here. The other person then obviously matches up the little. All right, there you go. As you can see, DPS are going down there. Me and the tank are going to head off here now. We're going to wait for this door open. I cast this beacon a little bit early, so don't do what I do. Essentially, this door will open once the puzzle behind us has been completed. Then your best plan here, you'd probably drop an orb of protection and a beacon on the tank. You can run past this fire ghost. Now, this ghost will technically count as lost as well. You wouldn't change your whole set just for this, but, you know, you got one gatherable there just behind me, as you can see on camera here, perfectly down the bottom left. But the tank is hopefully going to take your beacon and your orb, and he's going to run all the way down into this far room, and that's where you're going to fight this boss. Now, the mechanics of this guy, fire, lost damage, we're probably all just fire damage, but he counts as lost, so if you're doing strike and stuff and nature damage for whatever reason, you'll do more damage. Loads of sort of like fiery swirling abilities you can see there. Doesn't do great damage, but he does drop some flames on the floor. But then the one big thing you need to look out for, just before this dies, it's similar to the Starstone Ghost as well. If you don't CC this boss right here or kill it fast enough, he'll do a huge explosion and kill pretty much anybody within close range. Once that's happened, you're going to spawn, I think, is it 2 more? Yeah, 2 more. You got an elite and a normal fire ghost spitting that fire everywhere. This is where the flame conditioning gear comes in. Maybe some ruby gems. This is where this comes in really handy. But like I said, you do not need to change the lost gear here. You're going to burn these through, and then we're going to go into the next room. Okay, some things to explain just before we go to this next room. Now, as we go through this little tunnel here, there's a platform at the back of this sort of like next area that we go to. You can only get to that platform, one of 2 ways. You either go left, and that means you've got to go with a little mini jumping puzzle. And you've also got the big barrels that come down and squish you. So basically, you just hop over there. You go left. I'll try and keep it on screen so you can see it in a minute. However, if you've got like Leap and Strike or even like Whirling Blade, if you practice it a couple of times, probably don't do this in M10 runs and piss everyone off if you die. You can go to the right once you get out this door. And you can kind of like leap across the lava and then get onto the platform and fight that way. If you want to play it nice and safe, make sure you go left. Now, as the healer, you do not need to go left. You do not need to go right, okay? One last thing to mention, as they're saying here, they can't get the ore up top. Up in this top left-hand corner, right up the left-hand side, there's an orichalcum node. So if you're getting all the gatherables, make sure you go for that, okay? Now, as a healer, I can heal from here. I take no damage. I take no, well, obviously I'm taking mutation damage here, but in terms of damage from the mobs, I take no damage unless I take the aggro. And as you can see, I can reach all my healing abilities, from here. This is probably the safest way for the healer. You don't risk dying right. You don't risk dying left. The fight can start straight away because the tank can probably do the leap and strike to the right and get on there. Basically, there's a couple of ghosts up there. Some mini mob ghosts that'll just spawn in all the fire damage. And all the fire damage on the floor as well. And then you got the big ghosts, which will also do the explosions. You've got to be careful on this big ghost here. If you don't CC him just as he's about to die, he'll explode. Now, just up there to my left, where I showed you on the camera there, that's where the orichalcum is. Okay, make sure you head up there if you're trying to get all of the gatherables in the dungeon. And then once we get to the right, I'll run past the next orichalcum node in a second. But healers, you can stand here, and as you can see, it's the easiest job on the planet. Look at this. Look how easy that is. Okay. Now, I'll show you the other orichalcum. So you got that one back there, and then you got this orichalcum as well. So there's 2 orichalcums in here. One up there, one here. Showing you where both of them are. And then, yeah, we go into the next room. Now, a little bit more running down here. All that's to worry about is one little mini fire elemental mob. Don't even worry about it too much. And your next garable is just on your left after that little fire mob. Now, here we go. Here is the first big boss, if you like. Now, originally, when they first brought this boss out in the PTR, for some stupid reason, AGS set this as an angry earth mob. Absolutely stupid. Like, why? It has no reference to the dungeon whatsoever. It's now been changed. It does still count now as a human or a humanoid, whatever you want to call it. So your 15% slash damage will do good damage against this as well. And I'm pretty sure the 30% ice damage counts as well. But this is the first big boss. Now, what you want to do here, if you've got a little bit of extra flame protection, you definitely want to put that on here now. Now, if you've got all the flame conditioning, that's pretty good. If you've got a flame amulet and maybe 1 or 2 spare pieces of gear that have got ruby gems on there, you want to drop those in. Okay, strats. Your tank man, as we are facing this direction now, your tank man is going to stand on the left-hand side. This is the easiest way. If the tank stands at the far side, if you want to call it northeast, southwest, if the tank stands on the north side, you won't see these flame sort of fiery things. I don't know what you call them. We call them flames, whatever. You will not see those flames come in. Okay, now they will periodically come in, and they'll come in at different formations. They'll always come from that top side of the dungeon though, okay? So always be looking at one eye up there. We're having a look. Now, this boss himself is a little bit like the Genesis final boss. A little bit. He's got the big slash attacks, doing loads of flame damage here. So just keep an eye out for that. You want to be spamming all your heals in this area. And as you can see, look, different kind of formations where they come down. Now, did you see the yellow circles on the floor? They tend to spawn. So basically, as the flames are coming down from that top angle, within the next 2 seconds, you'll see a yellow circle appear on the floor. 99 times out of 100, those yellow circles will basically start to spawn on where you, the players, are standing, okay? So make sure you basically stand there for a second or two. Once you see the yellow circles, you run away. Now, as you can see here, big fire damage. This goes clockwise. It's really slow. It's a lot easier if you stand closer to it, but if that taps you, that big flaming sort of, I don't know what you want to call that, almost like in a wheel motion, that will do a lot of damage. You'll also see little lava plumes on the floor. Watch out for those. This one here, as you can see, it's almost like a plus sign, like a double barrel plus sign. You do not stand in that double barrel plus sign, okay? They'll do big, slamming, heavy attacks, and you will just go down, okay? Pretty much wipe from them. I don't see anybody survive those. So these are all the kind of mechanics you want to be looking out for. Obviously, you don't want to be standing in any of these fire plumes at all. But the main aim is to basically play in this direction. This kind of direction that I'm facing now, because you'll always be able to see those flames come from down. As you can see here, look, you can always see them. And then the final stage of this boss fight, as you can see now, clockwise again. This is clockwise, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, clockwise again. And there's 4 this time rather than 2. So obviously you want to split yourselves up a little bit. You can do a little bit of damage in there, but obviously you do not want to get tapping by that. It's just a waste. One more thing you can do, which I would never advise, the flames that come from down there, down that other end that you've seen me dodge a few times, you can fully prone and lie down on the floor, and those flames will go above your head. That is a very risky strat for the simple fact sometimes you can lie down, and then as the flame goes above your head, the yellow circle can spawn on the floor and explode. It's really bad. Once you've killed the boss, you need one player to go and activate the door all the way over there, and then we move on to the next room. So you got another respawn shrine here, and then you got 2 more barrels now. Obviously, do not get squished in these. These will one tap you. It's much more safer, and even if you're speedrun, it's much more safer. Just be careful. Now, you want to send the tank down. They're going to grab all those mobs down there. There's some tank mobs down there. There's some mage mobs down there. You need to be really careful. Everyone else can just stack in this corner, and then boom, you'll Gravwell them all. Hopefully, Gravwell, boom, there we go. Stack all your heals. I'm going to go in Scream. I'm going to Oblivion. I'm going to chuck in my Hard Gemra to try and hit them all with some Weaken and a bit of burn resistance on our teammates there. And then basically just stack all these mobs up here and burn through them eventually. 2 more mobs. A Skirmisher and a Tankman, and then the big elite. You cannot get through the next door until you've killed all the mobs. So just bear that in mind, okay? So this can be a bit of a tricky fight. You got plenty of damage going down. This guy does, I think, some of those major attacks as well. Whoa, big hit there. As you can see, I don't even know exactly what skill that the tank PvE mob did. Was it was either a shield rush or a leaping strike or something. Absolutely took us out. So that just shows you how careful you've got to be. Now, once those mobs are dead, that's when you can activate this door. Now, if you do not need mob count, i.e. you've not been skipping any mobs so far, these are the next kind of mobs that you can skip. You know what I mean? If you've got like a mob count that you need before you can finish the dungeon or the mutation, these next mobs you can skip, and I'll try and show you how to do that now. Essentially, let the tank go first. Of course, there's one gatherable, so one player who does not have any of the aggro can get that gatherable on the left, and essentially you want to stun the mobs, you know, once or twice, and then if you time it right, I nearly missed this one. There you go, you can make it all the way through. Couple more mobs on the other side of the barrels. Again, you can skip them, just be careful. And then you want to jump down here. Now, the 2 methods are you either kill all those mobs and then the healer can stand up there ranged and just heal freely, or you can skip those mobs. In general, you tend not to need them because there's enough mobs to get the full mob count before you get to the end. Now, we've got 2 elites at the same time. You've got to be really, really careful. There's loads of lava around the outside as well. You touch that lava, you take huge damage and you die. So you have like a small area to fight in here. You can't go any further because that's the next set of mobs. You've also got an Orichalcum on the right where my camera is now. You've got an Orichalcum over there, which you'll get after this little fight. But you need to be careful here. 2 elite mobs fighting them at the same time, plus a couple of ads, obviously. The more CCs you can get here as possible, I think it's better. If you got anybody playing, for example, Spear Main, you know, like 300 dex, 200 strength Spear Main, bro, ask them to take a Warhammer as a secondary weapon for the CCs. I swear, it's absolute golden. It's what I would do. Now, if you've got 1 or 2 players who have been downed at any point here, what you want to do is not attack these mobs straight away, and you want to touch the shrine, which hopefully I'll do for you now. We go past these mobs. Everybody can touch the shrine. That way, if you do get downed, you don't get a double down. You touch the shrine, you basically gain an extra half a life, if you like. Pull all the mobs in, start attacking them until the ranged elite then engages, and then you've got to pull back onto the ranged elite because he'll never come close enough, and that's where you start to fight. Now, this is a ranged bow mob. Does decent damage, nothing crazy, but obviously with all the ads in there as well, and then the big thrust damage can stack up a little bit. So you just want to make sure you watch out for him, but you always need to pull onto him because obviously Sir SKARIN, as the name is there, range, so be careful. Okay, now there's just 2 little mini mobs here. Best strat is to kill the archer, or the ranger, should we say. You kill the ranger and then you move on to the next group of mobs. There we go. So we killed the ranger, and then there's a handful of mobs here, and then a handful of mobs at the other end of the next little room. So you need to be really, really careful here. The clumps have got to be good. You got some tank mobs in there. That's why you need to be careful. The tank mobs are an absolute nightmare. You got some clerics in there. Always try and DPS down those clerics, or else they're just going to slow down your DPS by putting heals down. Then, like we said, 4 more mobs here. You got ranger, tank men. Absolute nightmare, these tank men. They're my least favorite mobs to fight against in these dungeons. They really are, because they just stun you all the time. It's really frustrating. But yeah, so you're gonna burn these down. Okay, now top of the stairs, there's 3 mobs, and there's something I need to explain to you here now. If I can just run down here, there's 2 more mobs down here at the bottom. Okay, now normally any ranged DPS or the healers, they're gonna ping these 2 mobs, which are then gonna come up the stairs, and you're gonna fight them all together. Now, 2 methods though. Once we kill these trash mobs, don't really need to explain the fight too much there. They're just trash mobs. You know about these by now. Once you kill these trash mobs, or whilst everybody's fighting these trash mobs, I forget to do it on this run. One of the DPS goes and does it for me. 2 methods. Okay, method 1, you all go down these stairs. There's a Blunderbus elite mob down at the bottom, and I literally mean that. Blunderbus elite mob. Okay, biggest thing to remember is never fight him face to face. Okay, obviously the tank will. Everybody else, make sure you're doing backstab damage, because you got some blast shots and stuff like that. So always be careful with that. Now, obviously there's like a couple of ads with him. Literally the Blunderbus boss is just here, but you don't need to fight it. Okay, even in mutation 10s to get score runs or speed runs, get them gold, get them on the leaderboard, you don't need to fight it. And it is one of the trickier mobs to fight. I'm explaining the mechanics just so you know, should you wish to go down there and fight it for whatever reason. But it's a Blunderbus mob. Okay, so just be prepared for that. You've also got one of the little quest things that you can grab there as well. Now, So the second strat is, like I said, you pull these mobs up here, you fight them in a trash, and then you need one player to just walk down to this little step here. You'll hear a little click quite loudly. That click means that you just basically activated the room, and then you can go on to the next phase. Okay, so we're going to kill this mob, and this is strat number 2, basically, okay? If you're not going to go down and kill the Blunderbus guy, this is strat number 2. Now, you've got a platinum ore, which you need to mine here, and you've got another puzzle, which you need to do. But let me explain this puzzle, okay? It's the same as all the other puzzles. Well, the other puzzle, okay? 3 symbols, okay? And then, but the platform to activate this before you can start turning them is down below where the Blunderbus boss is, but you don't pull the Blunderbus boss, okay? Now, again, I don't know if this is confirmed strat, but literally 99.9% of the time, whatever these 3 symbols are from the first, well, puzzle that you've done in that very, very first room back where we first started, the symbols will be in the same order. It matches. So basically, whoever goes down just needs to activate the little platform, which I'll show you now. And then you'll leave 1 person here, or 2 people, because you'll get 1 to CC the mini ad. And as you can see just down here, I just want to make sure, so you can see here, once you activate this portal, by the way, you start getting one of these mobs spawn. And let me show you this. So the portal sort of platform is just here down below. So you'll have 1 player stand there. You've also got 1 gatherable here, so keep that in mind as well. I'm going to show you this Blunderbus elite mob now, which we don't kill, but I've explained the mechanics to you. I would have liked to have shown you on the same video. As you can see here, there he is. So you got the Blunderbus elite guy and 2 little minis. You kill the 2 minis. Watch out for the Blunderbus guy. But like I said, we don't need him. We're going to skip him. Okay, we literally don't need him. So we checked our mob count here. We got 83 out of 85. Oh no. Oh yes, because there's 3 more here. You can just kill these little 3 trash mobs and then move on. Then here is where we need to talk a little bit about some strats, okay? Now, strat number 1. If you're a healer, change out your Void Gauntlet for an Ice Gauntlet, okay? You probably already got quite a lot of int in your build anyway. And then obviously you focus for your life staff. So you will do some okay-ish, again, just okay-ish damage with an Ice Gauntlet. Basically, your Void Gauntlet will become useless unless you completely respec it to like a healing Void Gauntlet, like sending out the orbs, heals, and stuff like that. Otherwise, pointless, okay? Make sure all of your DPS players, make sure you're using as much slash damage as you possibly can. Now, I don't mean everybody use hatchets. That's not what I'm saying. That would be the safest option. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you can use greatsword, if you can use hatchet, you get that extra damage. Always make sure you got at least 1 spear main. And what I would actually say here is, you can see what I'm doing here. I normally play around about 50 con when I'm healing. Okay, 50 to 65, depending on what extra attributes I've got. What I would say here is, every single player, if you've got to this stage of the dungeon, you've not got a ton of deaths, you've not got any wipes, you want to finish this, you want to get your gold run, you want to get maybe your leaderboard run, bro, add a little bit more con. If you're 5 con, go 50. If you're a little bit worried, go 100 con, okay? Yes, you will lose that little bit of damage, but this boss does so much damage in so many different ways. If you're not careful, it will be worth it. You won't lose your wipe. You'll be good. Honestly, I promise to do that. Make sure you're using your human coatings. Let's press play on here. Make sure you use your human coatings. If they've ran out, depending on how long it's took you to get here, we're on 24 minutes, so not too bad. And we're going to activate the boss, MARIUS. Now, this guy, first mechanic, boom, whirling blade, essentially, right? Now, if he directly hits you, he does some decent damage. Let me pause that here. If the whirling blade directly hits you, it does some decent damage. But then also, it fires off some like mini little sort of like mortars, if you like. You can block those, or you can dodge roll through those. Second mechanic was the one that you just seen then. The boss will look directly at you. He'll pull his great axe, up in the air, and he'll jump directly at you. Very easy. Do not block this. Even if you're the tank, do not block this. Just simply side dodge. And as you can see here, the lines, this is why I wanted to pause it here. There'll also be some sort of like AoE in direction damage. You just want to make sure you dodge out of the way of those. Now, as the healer, ideally you want to try and stay as far away from the boss as possible. And I just want to explain this last little mechanic here. As you can see, he was doing this big stamping up and down with his great axe. When he's doing this stamping up and down, make sure you dodge roll away. That does a lot of damage, like a ton. And at this exact moment, as you can see, all of these lava plumes start to spawn. Again, I'm going to say a percentage here, because I'm not 100% sure. I don't have data mining of abilities in this game. I'd say 80 to 90% of the time, when he does those big stamping on the ground, within the next 1 to 3 seconds, is when those lava plumes spawn. But those lava plumes spawn underneath the player's feet, so you can just let it spawn underneath you and then dodge roll away. and you're fine. If all of the players are all together, as you can see, that's kind of, look, see that one there? It's just spawned underneath me, okay? So basically what you want to do is allow it to spawn and then just dodge roll away and fight somewhere else. Next mechanic. The floor is lava. It's pretty much what everybody calls this, right? At this moment, you do not stand in the middle unless you've got big heals like this tank has here. That might even be a DPS. Yeah, you do not stand in that middle bit. He'll periodically do that now throughout the rest of the fight. You've got 3 different areas. I'll just point these out in case you can't see them. You have area number 1, area number 2, and area number 3. The 3 sort of, not corners, but you know what I'm saying. The 3 triangular corners, whatever that's called. I don't know. And that is where you're absolutely safe. So you're good there. Now, one of the best strats we have, and I'll tell you why in a minute, is the tank will step up against this, like the front door of the dungeon, and that is where you'll do all the fighting now. Do you remember when I said switch to an ice gauntlet because the void gauntlet is useless? Yes, I accidentally picked up one void gauntlet from my bag and equipped it over the other void gauntlet instead of the ice gauntlet. I am showing you here why this is fucking pointless. Do not do this. It's a waste of a you know, a whole weapon. Depending on the mutation, as a healer, you might have to drop some heals on yourself, but in general, in the Empyrean Forge, you just want to stack your sacred ground in that position, and this is one of the final sort of mechanics of the dungeon. These huge balls, okay, now these will spawn from sort of either side, one at a time, and they will go in a big line. You do not want to stand on the platform. Basically, you'll see a huge circle. They've even improved this circle since it launched. You can see the full hit radius of the circle now. You do not want to stand directly underneath that. When it spawns, it will knock you down, and it'll pretty much down you straight after that, okay? So you want to be careful. So they'll spawn from basically, as you can see, the 3 different directions there. There's the next one coming in. Now, little trick. If you can see the platform door here where we walk in, if you stand right up against that door, even though the ball looks like it's going to smash you in the face, it does no damage, but you have to be right up against that wall. So little bit of trickery for you there. If you've never seen that skill, but I presume most people would have seen that by now. As the healer, you're just stacking all of your heals over there. And then periodically, depending on how long your DPS takes, you're just going to go through all these mechanics over and over again. As the tank, what you want to focus on, every time he's about to do that huge heavy attack, you just dodge away. He's even got like an execute ability, which is the same as a player's execute ability. You want to dodge roll out of that as well. So save your stamina. Make sure you got your 3 dodges available. There's the execute again. And this is it. You just want to repeat this over and over again. Never stand in these lava plumes. I don't call them volcanoes. I call them lava plumes. I don't know why. I just do. Never stand in those. They do huge damage. If you're DPS, always try and be attacking, obviously, the boss from the back. Whenever he does the whirling blade, make sure you dodge. Just / run away. You can run away in a slightly different direction. You'll be okay. And when the balls are out, make sure you do not stand on that platform, or you'll be basically knocked down. And if you're directly under the ball, it'll basically clean you out with the second sort of like the second hit of the ball. And that's the fight right there. This is the whole fight. Floor is lava will periodically happen. The balls will keep on happening. And this is it. Like I said, the biggest strats I will give you here, obviously once you've learned these little bit of mechanics, is basically add a little bit more con than what you normally play on. You know what I mean? If you're already doing a good time, I mean, don't get me wrong. The biggest and best of speedrunners in this game will just stay, 5 con or whatever if they're crazy. But just add a little bit more con. Just go 50 con. Just go 100 con. Just stay alive. Just make it easy. Slash damage is 15% more damage here. Ice is 30% more damage here. Obviously, always work out if it's best to stay with full slash damage rather than adding ice gems on or whatever. You have to work that out for yourself, depending on what weapons and build you're using. But here's the fight. And like I said, I want to repeat this one more time. Yes, we got a little bit lucky because not everybody was running Forge this week on this occasion. As you can see, gold. Not everybody was running Forge this week, so we did get a little bit lucky. However, it was a decent run. I'm playing with 4 randomers. I'm showing you it's possible. You can play M10 with pugs, okay? It's possible. And also, like I said, it got me 2 capes this week. I've never got 2 capes in the same week. I normally just focus on 1. I'll show you the stats at the end. As you can see, you get to skip one of the... let me pause this here. You get to skip one of the named enemies. That's why we didn't kill the Blunderbus guy at the end. And we had 1 death. This score here would have been even higher had we not had the 1 death. I think we would have got like 2,000 or 3,000 more points. So yeah, we were buzzing with this run this week. This was a pretty decent run with us. But yeah, basically just wanted to show you the whole dungeon. I've not done one of these walkthrough guides for a while. I completely forgot to do this one. As you can see, just showing you the score here. Maximum score, as you can see, we got 4th. And then I think at some point I checked the clear time and I think we got 3rd on the clear time, which is crazy. But again, not too many people running it, or else these aren't... Normally on an average week, we'd have probably got low end of top 10 in Forge here. On an average week on the Barry EU server, low end of top 10. But yeah, we did pretty good. So we're buzzing with that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide video. I won't do too much of an outro here. All I'll say is I'll be a big dirty sellout. As you can see with my player name, twitch.tv/LiamH. If you like the guides, drop me a follow over there. I'll put the link down below. It's so easy. Click on it, press follow, jump in the next stream. Jump in the next stream, and come and watch me play this content live. And if there's any other kind of guides you want to see, you can just pop into stream, ask me. I'll give you all the information, and then we can even film some stuff there as well. And yeah, there you go, guys. Hopefully you like this video. Subscribe, like, comment down below if you do anything differently in this dungeon, and come follow me over on Twitch. I'll see you in the next video.